Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing? God is great. And I think we're all reminded with this weather that every day is a little victory, a little challenge that we have to go through. And I don't remember a spring quite like this. So once again, we're all hanging in there as usual. It's great to see you. Got an exciting program. I'm going to introduce Chief Mike McClelland here in a few seconds. I'm very happy to have him on board. And so I think we can all agree. Let's start off with a round of applause for our law enforcement in our community. Yeah. I speak for all of us when I say we love you guys. So thanks for all that you do and the sacrifices you make to keep our families safe. Been in the book this week, which is a good thing. And been reading Acts here over actually the last couple weeks, and it's kind of like what the world's going through, and it seems like our faith is under persecution, and what we believe in, and what we're trying to aspire to be, and also just humility. Just a reminder of the book is about humility, and so if you get a chance to read about Saul and his trials and tribulations, and how he questioned God, and how he went out and spread the word, and it's kind of like an action movie, right? He escapes from prison and everything and gets out, and people are just believing the miracles in the Holy Spirit. And it kind of feels like that now in this day and age. Sometimes we just feel like our religion and our faith is under assault. And I'm here to remind you that, as I try to challenge everybody on a constant basis, is just tell me one thing that's wrong with God. Can anyone come up with one thing? Someone that's a true believer in Jesus Christ. Tell me what is wrong with loving God. So that's a challenge that you can throw out to some folks if they start saying, well, why do you go to church? Or, well, God is great, and he's doing great things for us. And just so proud of our men. I know I say that every time, but I'm going to say it every time. And you guys are out doing what you need to do. And I know I throw other challenges at you as well. I would challenge you to check in with your pastors. See how they're doing. Put your hand on their shoulder as we're coming back to life here, and just say, hey, how are you doing? How is your life? How is your journey? And you might be surprised. Hey, I'm stressed out right now because I had to move to a new house. And well, give me a call. I'm still waiting for the call, by the way, someone in the room. I can still move stuff. I know I complain a lot, but I can help you out. For those that know me, that are laughing right now, obviously. So that would be a challenge. My other and final challenge to you, and before I forget to my last challenge, I don't know if you've been out to see the blog, the follow-up for Kaylin Yoder. Obviously, she brought down the house the last Oxstrong. It was really something special. She's out there helping us to pray, right? Teaching us how to pray. And it's not necessarily that we have to go out there and have all these words of God coming out of us and put ourselves on the spot. And it is nerve-wracking, right, when we're praying in public. And she just basically says, you got to learn to be yourself. And when you do that, you'll be able to talk to God the way you need to. And when you do that, you're going to see that your prayers are answered. And remember, don't try to pray to fix people. Just pray for them to pray, right? That's not your job. That's not what you need to wear. All right. The final challenge is for you this week is that I tell you, go out and do certain things. I'm going to tell you, just remember to not do things, right? Do certain things, right? Because we are sinners. And so just trying to find the right paths to the right decisions are my recommendation and my challenge to you. Just a reminder, we have some nice programs through Oxstrong. First and foremost, I'm always about the bling. I've got new stickers for the cars, or your screen glass windows or sliding glass windows so you don't walk into them when you're walking out to your gardens. And then, of course, the strong foundation. We know that marriages are struggling, and I was reading an interesting article yesterday, in fact, that said that 25% of all marriages that are failing are of those that are people in their 50s. And obviously, when they were growing up and their parents were in their 50s, it was like, well, it's too late now. But people are seeing that they have an easier way of getting out of their problems. And our pastors are overwhelmed. And so we have a great gateway to Christian faith-based counseling for families. If you know anybody that is having a struggle in their family, please let them know. Lastly, just a resource, we have our estate guidance. A lot of stress right now, and 75% of us are stressed out due to financial reasons. Remember that, and it's the number one reason for the failure of marriages. So take the time. This is a program we put together. State guidance will help you establish your own will. It has some worksheets in there, and so this is something that is a tremendous benefit and asset to you. So if any of you have forgot about this, I'm here to remind you that this is something that is available to the general public, just not, we don't have a membership card here, or any type of entrance fees, okay? This is God's house, this is God's thing. So this is something that God inspired upon us and was able to provide to us as a resource. So get out and check it out. And also, if there's an opportunity, go out to the Iowa Insurance Division's website for financial wellness, because we all know people that are stressed out because of money, and it's been a crazy time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my brother in arms, to Nate. He's going to say a few words, and then he's going to go ahead and introduce the chief here. So thank you for your time, and we'll be talking here.
Good morning, gentlemen. So it is a privilege to have Chief here with us today. It's as a parent, a lot of times we like to have the opportunity to speak into our children and to really invest in their lives. And sometimes we take almost too much responsibility of that and try to put it all on our shoulders and try to almost shelter them too much and prevent them from hearing from other people to speak into their lives. And I've learned as I've grown as a parent to loosen up those reins, to really encourage them to be listening and giving ear to wisdom that's around them and seeking out godly people, and also encouraging other people to speak into my children. But it's just been an honor to now have son-in-laws who are speaking into my daughters and encouraging them in their walk with the Lord, and also encouraging other people to speak into their hearts too. It's encouraging to do that. And I'm just so thankful to have my son-in-laws here in town, and one working for the police department, and then to have Chief just be that example to him at work is priceless. So I'm so thankful for that, and just want to encourage you guys along those lines as well, and always wanting to share your heart with other people. And I've had in the last month people come up and just say, Nate, you do a lot of speaking into the lives of other people. Who speaks into you? It's just a humbling experience, and I had to just sit back for a second and think. First person that comes to mind is Skip. Skip is always right there. I do have that accountability brother I can just turn to, or Derek at work, because a lot of times it's just a good resource for me just to share things with and bounce ideas off of, and we just have those friendships. But I just want to encourage you guys, find that person. Don't be too proud to always be the one speaking into others. Allow people to speak into you too, and allow them to encourage you in your walk with the Lord. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for our community and for Chief being here today, and we'll just give the floor to him and let him go with it. So come on down.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. So just to go off what Skip was saying a little earlier about wives and everything, my wife of 24 years, last October. Hey, honey, you ever heard of Grinnell? See how that went over. First, it's great to be here with you guys. I don't really like talking about myself, but ever since I've become a chief, that's all I've been doing for the past, since October pretty much, since I said that to my wife. I apologize for missing 2 months ago? That second shot, boy. And Nate, you get yours this week? Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. That second one just... That second one just kind of knocked me on my butt. But thankfully, most of us are all inoculated now at work, and we're good to go. So it's been a crazy year, hasn't it? Last year and this year. Lots of changes, and But I'll just start at the beginning, I guess. I'll tell you a little bit about myself so you feel a little bit more comfortable about me and who I am. And then I'll just open it up if you have any questions. But can you guys hear me? Is this on? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Gotcha. So I grew up in east side of Des Moines. So I essentially just came home. I've been away for 24 years. So I grew up on the east side. My father, he worked for the Des Moines Public Schools. He was a school bus driver. And my mother worked for UPS over there off of Dixon on the east side of Des Moines. She did that for, seems like forever. My stepfather, he was a Des Moines police officer. He became my stepfather when I was 6. And then his son was also a Des Moines police officer. So that's where I kind of got that cop in me, was from watching those two. And Frank, my stepdad, he was the bomb squad guy. So had some interesting 4th of Julys. I always had a front row seat to the buildings getting blown up. And if our garage would have ever caught fire when I was a kid, oh boy. But yeah, it was a fun childhood. I'm the youngest of 4. So my sister Terry, she still lives in Des Moines. She was the oldest. My brother Greg was next, and then my brother Pat, and then me. So Pat and Terry still live in Des Moines. They were there with my mother, but I just recently moved my mother to Mayflower last weekend to be closer to me and her baby, and so she had people to talk to on a daily basis. So, again, it's been a wonderful year so far. So I grew up, I went to East High School, and I graduated in '86. I was exposed to the Roman Catholic religion growing up, CCD, altar boy, the whole 9 yards. I could recite the whole Mass if you want me to right now. I still remember it. It's embedded in me. It was a challenging childhood with all those different exposures, but I loved it, and never ever dreamed of going anywhere. When I graduated East in 1986, I went up to Esterville on a little football scholarship because I was kind of a football player. Believe it or not, I used to weigh 290 pounds at one time. And I went up there for a year. Didn't really sink in. Kids, that freshman year is always tough to get into the sink of things. It didn't really work out for me, so I dropped out and I joined the Army. And I didn't look back. And it really, I'm not saying that everybody should join the Army, but it really screwed my head on straight. And I was an MP in the Army, and it really did. I did 3 years at Fort Dix, New Jersey. I was exposed to the East Coast Dennis Riley style people out there. Really different world on the East Coast, lots of people. So came back, head screwed on straight, went to DMAC, started getting good grades, and I applied for a ROTC scholarship. And I was I think I was halfway through OCS at Camp Dodge, because I came back out of the Army. I joined the National Guard, and I joined an MP company out at Camp Dodge, and loved that. And but 3 months after I got off active duty, there was a thing called Desert Storm that happened. So right back in we went, and that was my first deployment into combat was Desert Storm. We had over 18,000 prisoners in our compound at any given time before we turned it over to the Saudis. Saw a lot of horrible things during that war. It was a short war. It was a quick war, but we were in charge of getting in our trucks and going up and getting the prisoners and bringing them back. The fun part of that is the infantry guys and tank guys were going so fast they weren't leaving a trail for us to follow. So we were always driving through minefields and getting exposed to this or that. We ran into the highway of death at one point. I don't know if you guys heard about that. That was just something. But Came back, and again, I applied for ROTC scholarship, which got me out of OCS. Thank the Lord. OCS is tough. So Ben Smith, my other officer who just came back from Kosovo, he just got into OCS, and I kind of gave him a rundown of what to expect in OCS in the National Guard. It's tough because you have to turn it on and off every month. It's just like when you go in and do it in active duty style for 14 weeks. You have to turn it on and off. But so off to Drake University in Grandview College at the time is what it was called, Grandview College. I went to Grandview for criminal justice studies, and Drake had the ROTC branch. So every day I was going back and forth for classes. Did pretty well in college, and I graduated in 1996. It's amazing when you start forgetting certain years, isn't it? 96, and I was applying to every police department I could in Iowa I could think of. And for some reason, I just couldn't get past that hurdle. I couldn't get there. So, because I really wanted to be a Des Moines cop, just like my stepdad and my brother. It just didn't happen. I applied all over the country: Phoenix, Chicago, Aurora, Colorado, and I got offers from all three of those places. And again, thank the Lord, I picked Aurora. Aurora, Colorado was just the right size at the time, and it wasn't too big, it wasn't scary, it wasn't hot. The mountains were there, and it was beautiful. So started there in 1996, and just gave it up at the beginning of this year. So 24 years total there. Loved it there, and patrol, FTO, sergeant, traffic officer, sergeant, road sergeant. It was great. Went up in rank. I ran the traffic section. I was the training academy commander, which was awesome. I trained over 300 cops before I left that job. And I really loved training, especially in the Army. So during that whole time, I had my parallel career in the Guard. So when I became a butter bar when I graduated college, went out there, joined the reserves, and then gotta think of years again, 2003, when Bush started poking the bear again, off to Iraq I went. This time I decided to try something different, so I went with a transportation company, and they were from 3 different places. They were out of Muscatine, Cedar Rapids, and Centerville. So I was a platoon leader for a transportation company instead of an MP. And boy, what a blast that was. But it was amazing because we went over there with our Vietnam trucks. So these are the old 5-ton made out of steel, while the active duty forces all had those brand new fiberglass LMTV trucks that didn't work. Computer systems didn't work. They didn't absorb anything when an IED went off. And we had these old big trucks that just leaked oil like sieves, but they ran and they absorbed blasts, so they saved a lot of our guys' lives. And we did convoys all over western Iraq, into Baghdad, Fallujah, Ramadi. We lost 2 guys over there, David and Aaron. Another horrible thing. Saw a lot of horrible things over there. Learned a lot about leadership during that deployment. When I got back, I thought they were going to kick me out the door, and see how I always drifted back to Iowa. So when I got back, I was like, well, I got to find a job now in the Guard in Colorado. Well, we want you to command your old MP company out of Camp Dodge. So for about 3.5 years, I commuted from Colorado back here to be the commander in the 186, and it was a dream job. I just loved it. Finally went back to Colorado in the Guard, and I joined an MP battalion, and within a short period of time, Afghanistan took off in 10-11, And now I'm an operations officer for a prison in Bagram. So me and my team ran the detention facility in Parwan for an entire year. And we had about 1,800 of the nastiest terrorists you can think of. So again, learned a lot, saw a lot of horrible things. But during all these deployments, I actually got to know the culture over there. I got to know the people, most of the Iraqis, the Afghanis, and the actual kids that came running up to our trucks. They all speak English, and they would talk to us and share their lives and share their stories and share the terrors that they've all experienced. And they were all very happy, despite what the news was pumping out. We got the real story. So I finally retired in 2012 as a major from the Guard. I just kind of promised my wife that I wouldn't do that to her again. I think I computed it up with all the deployments, the hurricanes, the wildfires, the schooling, I want to say I was gone a total of close to 4 years total from my wife and my family. I missed the birth of my second son, Max. Have I talked about my kids yet? Yeah, I still got to talk about that too, don't I? Apologize, I'm all over the place. So, back in 1992, I met my life partner, Mindy. That was back when Garth was king and George was king, and going to a country bar, and I just had to put on my Stetson. The girls would, yeah. Oh, yes, yeah. Well, at the time in '92, it was Guitars and Cadillacs in Des Moines. So I was an urban cowboy, and I met her, and I tell people, you know, I had her at the two-step, but she was in love with me by the time we were waltzing. So we've been together ever since. And she grew up in Charles City, Iowa. Her maiden name is Sindlinger. I don't know if any of you know the Sindlinger family, but I do. And so her brother Mark was the center for Chuck Long, if that tells you anything. And he's a Hall of Fame wrestler, so he wrestled for Gable. So it wasn't intimidating at all, being, you know. Great family, though, and they put up with all my stuff over the years, too. She's great. I love her to death through everything, through the ups and downs, and she supported me with everything that's been going on. She gave me 3 wonderful kids. Mikey, he's my oldest. He's 20. When I said, hey, I got a job in Grinnell, he's like, well, I'm going to stay in Colorado, Dad. So he's still going to school in Grand Junction, going to Colorado Mesa. I brought Max, my 17-year-old, with me, and my daughter, Mackenzie. She's 14. So Max wasn't as enthused as we were. But he's starting his first job here in Grinnell today at Fairway. So he graduated high school early because he was doing it all online. So he starts Fairway today. Mackenzie, she's loving it. She's loving it. She's in 8th grade at the middle school, and she's already got a boyfriend, and I don't even want to go into that. But she's playing 3 separate sports right now: volleyball, softball, and track. And she got hurt last week and kind of got a hip injury, so she's down now for a little bit. But they're coming around, and no looking back. I mean, it's been that last summer was probably the most challenging of my entire police career. And never I've been exposed to protests and rioters and stuff like that, but I was emergency response team commander for the Aurora Police Department, so I was in charge of all the riot control stuff, and it was a horrible summer. Never in a million years would I've said, within a month period I had chunks of concrete, rocket mortars, Molotov cocktails, and every kind of profanity you can think of screamed at me. It's just been a rough year for law enforcement. The media bias against us, I still believe that it's one of the most humbling and professional jobs out there. And I believe that my guys are anybody that raises their hand and takes an oath and puts themselves and puts their life at risk to serve others. Soldier, cop, firefighter, EMT, whatever, you got my vote. So I pray that it's going to go away. I hope this whole media thing will settle down and people will start thinking more clearly about things. It's here though. It's in Grinnell. I mean, I've felt it since I've been here. Everybody's concerned about it. You can't escape social media, unfortunately. I tell my kids, turn it off. Just turn it off. Pick up a book. Stop listening to it. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. So all that, I'm not going to expose myself because my guys are here. So gotta maintain that leadership style. So I can tell you that my faith over the years, and as you can imagine, has been like this. When you see the destruction that men can do, the stuff I've seen in combat, the baby that flew through the windshield and was stuck in a tree over an accident that I went to, you start to think, you start questioning your faith, wondering what the hell is he thinking? What kind of plan does he have for us? Why is he exposing, all of us to this? It's not his fault. It's ours. It's ours. Every week, police officers deal with people's stupidity because they're not thinking clearly. They're not thinking straight. They've lost their faith. They've lost God. So, I'm slowly getting back up to where I should be, I think. And I thank Skip for being that guy that's reached out and, said, come on board. And I think it's going to be a great ride here, and I don't regret it one bit. And this is an amazing community, and I hope I can be of some service to my guys, to the community, to the citizens, and hopefully instead of this, it'll be more of this. So that's me, guys. So.
You can stay up here.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us online. Next month, hopefully it works out that you can be here in person, but thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Thank you.